Story 1. Am I the a-hole for being an ungrateful, spoiled brat for the Christmas gift my husband got me? I, female 35, want to begin by saying that every holiday, me and my husband, male 33, we both work decent jobs, set separate budgets for gifts. He uses his own money to buy gifts, and I do the same. We've been married for almost a year, together for 3. This is our first Christmas as a married couple. He made a list of every person he wanted to buy a gift for. I stumbled upon this list by accident and out of curiosity decided to take a look. I found that his friends and coworkers were on top of his list with gifts that cost over $5,000 total. For example, he got a $600 wristwatch for his coworker, a $250 bracelet for his sister-in-law, and a $900 workout gear for his friend. There was more, but that's all I can remember. What made me upset was that when I got to my name, I saw that he bought me a $20 something kitchen spoon set, stainless steel. I was too shocked to ignore this, and I had a confrontation with him about it. He argued that A, it's his money, he's the one paying, so I should not control that, and B, his coworkers and friends are important to him and he's known them for ages, and C, he said a gift should be appreciated no matter what it cost. I argued that he was disrespecting me and dismissing my feelings with the gift he chose to get me, not to mention that I spend a lot of money for his gifts to buy him his favorite shoe and gaming brands, but he got upset and said I was acting like an ungrateful, spoiled brat and urged me to get rid of this attitude and accept what I'm giving. The argument got worse and we stopped talking to each other. He still says I'm being ridiculous with my overreaction and should stop. Did I overreact? You're kind of on shaky water for snooping to begin with. This isn't like you're negotiating salary by figuring out what everyone else that you're working for is getting paid. Are you competing with his friends? And say you didn't know about all the other gifts. Would you have been happy with what he got you? Yeah, I think you kind of are the a-hole for being kind of ungrateful about this. If there's something really specific that you wanted, you should have said something. And not the usual hint thing, just kind of speak up and say it, make it known. Story 2. I got fired and cost the store approximately $30,000. I was working a second job at our local small grocery and butcher shop a few nights a week to pay for my kids' activities. I was hired as a cashier. The person that did the end-of-day butcher shop cleanup and sanitizing quit. So instead of hiring someone to clean up, the owners decided that the cashiers could just do it between customers. The owner sat at their office watching TV and messing around, and when a customer came in, a doorbell would ring, they would buzz the phone in the butcher area for the cashier to come check them out. When I came in for my shift at 6 p.m., I was told about the new setup. I told them no. I was not hired to clean up the butcher area. I was hired to run the register and stock shelves. The owner then said I would clean the butcher shop or I could consider myself fired. And they walked away. I said, fine. I grabbed my things and left. Apparently, the owner thought I had given in and was doing the cleaning. So they buzzed the butcher area when customers came in for about 2 hours before someone told them no one was coming to check them out. The store's liquor area, cigarettes, and scratchers got emptied out. It was 7:30, and I got a screaming phone call from the owner about how he was calling the police and I was going to get arrested. Yeah, right. Owner did call the police. The owner stated he wanted me arrested as an accomplice to the thefts because I had left. Cops asked me to come to the store, which I did, and I explained that the owner had fired me. So I went home, and the CCTV would prove the fact. The tape was reviewed, and as plain as day, the owner said I was fired. I estimate they lost about $30,000. Don't make ultimatums if you can't afford to get called on them. And this person, this owner, should have just done some of the cleaning himself. As an owner, as someone who is running a business, you have to do whatever it takes to keep it running. Sure, you were able to have a little cushy time just sitting back and watching TV or whatever, but things have changed and now it's time to step up. It's not your fault that this person decided to take you up on the part of the offer you weren't planning on them taking. Story 3. Entitled mother accuses me of stealing my own car keys. This happened yesterday, and yes, it's as stupid as it sounds. So for some quick context, I'm a cleaner at a private school. It costs something like £25,000 a year to send your kids here. So you can imagine the amount of rich entitled hogwash that goes on. You already know who entitled mother and I are, so let's get into it. It's 4 p.m., and I've been at work for an hour just getting on with what I'm doing, and the entitled mother comes storming into the classroom I'm cleaning. Entitled mother, you need to move your car. Me, what? Why? Entitled mother, speaking very slowly and loudly for some reason, you need to move your car. Me, copying her tone, no, I don't. Entitled mother does some confused blinking. Why are you talking like that? Me, because you are. Entitled mother, ugh, whatever, just move your stupid car. It's blocking me, and I have an appointment. Me, lady, my car isn't blocking you. I'm parked along the back row by a hedge, blocking nobody. Entitled mother, you're lying. Come and move your car right now. This goes on for about 5 minutes, and eventually I figure out that she won't shut up unless I do something. Me, look, if I prove that my car isn't the one blocking you, will you get out of my face? Entitled mother, finally, just move this stupid thing so I can go. So I go get my keys from the cupboard where my stuff is. Entitled mother, practically glued to my shoulder the whole time, go to the car park, press the button on my key, and the lights blink on my beat-up Fiat in the corner. Me, see? My car, right there, not blocking anyone. Thinking that's the end of it, I turned to go back to my job, and she started screaming behind me. You stole those keys! That's not your car! Your car is in front of mine! Get your keys right now and move it! Me, okay, which car do you think is mine? I figure it's a staff member's car. I could direct the crazy shrew to them. She marched over to a Range Rover, presumably hers, which was blocked in by a brand new Porsche. A brand new fracking Porsche, and glared at me. I must have stared at her for like 10 seconds before I started laughing my butt off. Me, lady, if you think I could afford that car on a part-time cleaning job, you must be delusional. She then started yelling about how I'm deliberately stopping her leaving and she's going to have my car towed. But I just walked away. I don't get paid enough to deal with that stuff. I have no idea what happened after that, but I really hope the Porsche driver didn't leave for another few hours just to stick it to her. Does this entitled mother have any idea how salaries work for different positions? Does she think because it's a very expensive tuition to send your kid here that all the staff make buco bucks or something? I mean, the person proved which car was theirs. What else could this person do? I don't get it. Story 4. Ohio. Woman sent me video of her setting my priceless painting, family heirloom, on fire because I called CPS on her. My boyfriend's sister-in-law has been abusing and over-medicating her autistic child, so I called Child Protective Services on her months ago. I was living up there near his family, and long story short, when I drove home for the holidays, was just supposed to be a short trip, but all hell broke loose and my boyfriend quickly packed everything we owned and followed me down a few days later. He forgot this one painting that has been in the family for over 100 years, and my grandfather gave it to me before he passed on 14 years ago. She and her husband sent me a video saying, "This is for calling CPS, shrew." They're both clearly seen in the video calling it a priceless painting. Do I have any grounds to sue or press charges? I wanted to see if anyone here might have advice before I go and shell out my savings for a lawyer. This was literally my most prized possession, and my heart is in so many pieces because my grandfather gave it to me so long ago. I would give everything I own just to get it back. I'm living in Florida, and this is all in Ohio. I think there are more people in the comments that would have much more recourse on this than I would ever have. I really don't know anything about this, but this is awful that this happened and that they didn't get the painting out there before this happened to them. If it's on video, then at least you've got it documented and you have some recourse. Hopefully you can find someone you can consult cheaply to see whether or not this is a case you can pursue. But if you can pursue it, are these the kind of people that will be able to make reparations and pay you back for it? That's another thing to consider. What do you guys think? Well, guys, gals, what do every one of you think that are watching this video?
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 5. My son broke his computer. He's allowed to use yours. I was 12. My parents moved us to a new place, and our neighbors were unpleasant. There was entitled mother and father. Never met him, can't call him entitled. With 2 sons. One was 13, and the other was about 8 or 9. The older brother was a decent guy. We were school bus pals. But the younger one was an issue. But looking back on it, he probably had a social disorder like Asperger's or perhaps ADHD. My mom did not like this kid. A few incidents happened before with him, and my mom nicknamed him the orange-haired goblin. So I'll call him OG. This story is told from my mother's perspective, as she dealt with entitled mother. Despite this happening over 10 years ago, I do remember that it happened, but the written dialogue here is pulled from my mother's retelling of the story, so there's a tad of embellishment. This was on the day of dial-up in my country. It was fantastic. My mom and I had a system where I'd quickly load a flash game with a heads up, then disconnect from the internet and plug the phone back in. It was the school holiday, so it was just my mom and I at home when Dad was at work. So it was an otherwise empty house when this happened. Mom. Oh, son, you're supposed to give a heads up when you're unplugging the phone. I need to make a call. Me, from the backyard. I'm not on the computer, though. I'm outside. Mom pokes her head out of the kitchen window, sees me, looks confused, then turns around. She and I have the same idea, so we both head to the room with the computer, and we find OG. Mom. Excuse me, what are you doing? OG. My mom told me I could use your computer. Mom. Why don't you use yours? Despite hating this kid, my mother is not unreasonable. She's not going to get annoyed with an 8 or 9-year-old. OG. I broke it. Mom. Well, I'm sorry, but she can't decide that. You have to ask for permission. Besides, you can't let yourself in our house anyway. You can finish the game, but I need to plug the phone back in so you can't load anything else. Mom then gave me a look that meant, keep an eye on him. She later told me she didn't want him to break our computer if he indeed broke his own. So she needed me to keep an eye on him. OG leaves. Then 10 minutes later, we hear a knock on the door. I go to answer, but my mom gets there first. Entitled mother. OG told me you won't let him on your computer. Mom. Sorry, who? EM. My son. Mom. Oh, right, the kid who let himself in. He told me you told him he could use my computer. Why is that? Entitled Mother. His was broken, and I needed to entertain him. Mom. So that makes it okay? I wouldn't have minded letting him if you had discussed it with me first. Entitled Mom. He's an angel. There's no harm in him using it. Mom. Clearly there is if he broke his own. At this point, EM must have been getting annoyed. I heard this part for myself as she started shouting very loudly. He only broke his keyboard. He spilled his drink on it. It's safe for him to use yours because he learned his lesson. Mom. Still doesn't give him or you the right to come and go as you please and use our property without permission. EM. But you said you wouldn't let him, so what's the problem? Mom. My problem is a strange kid I barely know just walked into my house and used my computer because his mother said he could. If that's how you treat your neighbors, then you or your children aren't welcome here anymore. My mom then slammed the door, and that was the last we heard from Entitled Mother, though she'd stare at us if she saw us leave the house. My mom would make jokes about the kid if she saw him in the street, like, "Hell, it's the orange-haired goblin. Remember to lock the door." When school resumed, I was talking to the older brother on the school bus. He told me that his mother asked him to steal our keyboard if he ever comes around again. He understood his mother was wackadoodle, so we just had a laugh about it. Wow, just the entitlement. It's okay just to go into other people's homes and use their stuff? I bet you if someone else came into their home and grabbed something and just started using it while they were there, they would have an absolute fit. There's no way they think this is a universal thing. I would almost bet real money that that would be the case. Story 6. Doctor denies responsibility for my mom's defibrillator. I should first and foremost say that this happened about 10 years ago, so at this point, I doubt it's possible to do anything about the situation. When I was 16, my mom was driving me to a friend's house when her defibrillator started shocking her repeatedly every few seconds. She thought it was just doing its job until the shocking continued, where it surpassed 40 shocks at 600 volts. This led to severe heart damage and required multiple open heart surgeries to fix. It turned out that the wires that connected to her box malfunctioned and were sending signals that her heartbeat was off. It could be some form of PTSD I suffered from seeing my mom nearly pass away in my arms, but her defibrillator almost triggered again today, and it brought back those memories. She told me that her and my dad tried to pinpoint who was responsible, the company who made the wires, the defibrillation company, etc., but all the doctors she saw denied responsibility. Is there anything I can do at this point? I feel like she suffered so much and was given absolutely zero compensation for what happened. It makes me furious knowing how much pain she went through and nothing was done about it. Who would be responsible for that? Does anyone know? I mean, how would you even go about trying to figure this out, and what kind of lawyer would you contact about this? That's very frustrating. I mean, there were multiple heart surgeries. Was there some diagnosis about the machine? Was there any sort of post-surgery investigation? I'm kind of at a loss.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.